Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. And welcome everybody to a bonus edition of my Independence Report. This is Saturday, and it is March 20th, 2021. And normally we don't do podcasts on Saturday, but we had a slight miscommunication during the week or last week. So we're doing a little bit differently, and I have a great young man with me, and we're going to talk about I don't know, high school podcasting, what he's doing, and all that kind of stuff. Because it really is pretty. I suppose I could say neat, but that would be a term from like 100 million years ago. But Ian is with us. He's with the Nobel Knights. And Ian, what's the name of your high school again?
I go to Francis Howell North High School. And
that is in Missouri?
Yeah, St. Charles, Missouri.
Oh, very good. Now, where's St. Charles in relationship to like Kansas City and
so we are kind of close to St. Louis. I could say about maybe 20-ish miles. I don't know exactly, but we're close in relativity, but we're in two separate counties.
Okay. Now let's talk about your podcast. When did you have this brainstorm that, hey, I need to do a podcast?
Well, so I've always wanted to do something that involved the internet, basically. I wanted to get my name out there and somehow I wasn't the most popular kid. And so I think through this, I can kind of get more popularity and I have something to also just boost my morale and give me something to do. And I wanted to really just I wanted to compete with our school because our school has one of the biggest journalism programs in the whole entire country. They've won multiple awards because we have FHN Today, which just recently got a couple of awards just for their in-depth journalism and their school just newspaper in general. And I wanted to compete with that.
Oh, cool. Now, have you talked to them about maybe doing some collaborative efforts?
Yeah, I have. I've been in communication with a couple of them that are higher up there. And I'm also considering joining their journalism program next school year, just to kind of like have them teach me. And I could also have the opportunity to teach them about live streaming and YouTube and how all the things I've went through to be able to figure this out just by myself.
It's quite a challenge to figure it out by yourself, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It takes time, and you gotta do a bunch of stuff. Now I gotta ask you, what year were you born?
I was born in 2005.
You're kidding.
Nope. I'm not even 16 yet.
Oh, you're awesome, man. And do you want to use your last name, Ian?
Oh yeah, sure. My name is Ian Pierce.
Okay, Mr. Pierce. Born in 2005. I remember that year well, as a matter of fact. And I started my broadcasting career in 2002. You weren't even.
Oh, wow.
When I started doing some of this stuff, but I couldn't. The technology. You were born at the exact right time.
I know. I was right when I got indoctrinated into technology slowly.
Well, and everything. And now I was to be on the radio. I was on a radio station in Seattle. To be on that 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, cost me $1,000 a month or $1,000 a week to do that. Now, this costs virtually nothing, and you can have a global reach, a global impact, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
So, when you started doing this, what was your goal? What did you want to? What did you want your podcast to be about? What is your podcast? What's the name of your podcast?
My podcast is the Nobel Knights podcast, and we kind of wanted to. So I got together with a couple of my friends, and I was like, what if we made a podcast? What if we could just get our names out there? Because all of us, we're in our school's drama program. So I'm a drama kid. I know a bunch of other people. And so I've had people on there I don't know if they want me to use their last names, but I have my friend Piper. She is a junior. And then I have my friend Kevin. He's a freshman. And then we have his older brother that was my age. We're thinking of adding another one of my friends. He hasn't been on it yet, but we're planning on it. And we've had so many other people that we've wanted on there, and we've already interviewed one teacher from the school, and I'm trying to work on getting more. And my main goal was really just to take everything, and I wanted to get up there and be like, I can interview this celebrity right here, right? Like I can go up there and I can interview Robert Downey Jr. or something like that, and just that was my main goal. I wanted to have something that FHN today didn't. So they don't really interview people outside of the school. And I've already made it past that point, but I want to have something that I can just say is like, I've interviewed this celebrity. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I have an ego and stuff like that. It's that you guys are worse than me and stuff like that. It's that I want to.
Yes, this is high school, damn it. You've got to do that.
Exactly. You got to be better than everyone else. And I think with that, the point is I have a celebrity. It's like, you guys would have to reach, you guys probably wouldn't have to reach as far as me, but to have me get to that celebrity status, that's like the main thing of all this, I think, is that if you get to that, you've made it because you have this celebrity and you can be like, you can use that celebrity and connect to others and connect to more and more. Because when you start at the bottom, you have to start with, I'm just talking with my friends. And then I interviewed a teacher at our school. Then I've gotten to the point where I'm interviewing people on just a daily basis that are doing things in community all over the country, all over in other countries. And then you're going to make your way to big CEOs, and then you might make it to celebrities and stuff like that. And that's really the path I'm trying to follow.
It's a good path. Do you have like a tagline for your podcast? What do you call it? I know you have the name, which is the Noble Knights. But what is there a tagline underneath that of what you're all about?
I've been trying to it's really hard for me to come up with a tagline because I kind of was thinking of doing a catchphrase, but I think it would get old. I was going to be like, stay noble and stuff like that. But I couldn't really I don't know how I can work that in somehow to have that type of catchphrase. I kind of I do have an introduction at least. I kind of say, hey, welcome back to the Noble Knights podcast, or welcome back to Knights of the World. So we have multiple different series. I think we have 4 different series running on currently. We have our live stream series where we've had a couple live streams. We did a New Year's one and a Christmas one. Our Christmas one lasted up to 2 hours, and I cut the video down to 36 minutes. And that's where you first meet Piper because we had her on there in the middle of the show. So it was pretty fun to do that one. And then we have other people. So we have one, it's called Knights of the World, where we interview people that are outside of our normal community. So I've interviewed authors, I've interviewed former CEOs of companies and stuff like that. And I've also have one called Notable Knights, and it's people in our school that are doing something to impact the school or the community around it. And I can't do a video about myself because that'd just be selfish. It's like, yeah, I'm a notable knight. You see, I'm making the series. That means I'm important. And so
no, what it means is that you've got a message that you're trying to put out there. And now, by the way, do you know what the Noble Knights mean?
Well, I was trying to communicate the word noble as kind of we're honorable. We are kind of we're knights and we're pursuing, and we're not telling all these lies. We're not doing all this stuff and making all this up. We're telling real truths and things about our lives. And the knights really comes from our school is our logo for the school. Everyone has the bulldog logo or the Indian, and we have a knight. Ours is called Norm the Knight. That's our logo, and we have a shield and everything. And so my variation of our own logo is sort of different. Except, so theirs is a shield, mine is a sword, kind of parallel.
Very, 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 very nice. Now, are you familiar with the story of King Arthur and the Round Table?
More or less. I kind of know the basis.
Read that book, because the knights of the Round Table were all chivalrous and who had honor, and they were a very positive influence in their community. If I was you, I would. If now, first of all, you're stuck now. You like doing this, don't you?
Oh yeah, this is something I've already tried a YouTube career and stuff like that. I'm kind of slow on doing that since I don't have all the capabilities to do that. But I'm working my way up there, trying to at least get something out.
If you enjoy drama, which
Mm-hmm.
you do, what plays have you been in?
I have done so. I started drama in 8th grade. I've always been doing speech and drama since 6th grade, and my middle school teacher is just like, okay, I need a backstage. I think it was I need like a student manager and stuff like that, a student director or whatever. And I was behind the scenes, and me and the two teachers basically ran that show. Yeah, it was literally like hell to run it because we had terrible, like, it was just everything went wrong. Basically, people weren't there. People got sick. We ran out of water for people to drink. So they were getting dehydrated. So everyone was out there drinking water, and it was completely just crazy out there. And me and the two teachers ran that show. And so in high school, I was like, all right, I'm going to join the drama program. So I'm doing their improv classes and I'm doing their tech theater classes too. So I'm building the sets and I'm learning how to be on the sets.
I was going to suggest that if there's one class that you can take that will further your career in this medium, and that is the improvisational classes.
I know it's definitely helped me kind of continue my lines and stop with the like ums and stuff like that. Cause I was a Spectre student in middle school. And when we gave presentations, I was one of the best presenters, at least to my standards. I think I was. I got a decent grade, and that makes me the best now. So I was always really good at presentations because I could just easily come off of them very natural because I knew my topic. Everyone would be like, oh, make sure to study your presentation, make sure to do that. And I'm like, if I know my topic, why do I need to study it? It's coming from my heart. I'm coming from what I know. Yeah, the board's up there and I can tell you what's on the board. But if I'm just standing up there reading it like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going to go do this and then this. I can just be like, okay, we're going to have this. It's right up there. We're doing this. And I can just explain it like that. And that really helps, especially in this type of medium as well. I have my notes, I have my questions, but then you have to do follow-ups. You have to do other add-ons. And it really gets it's easy that way, I think.
Yeah, well, the improvisational classes, what they do for you is they teach you to think on your feet.
Mm-hmm.
They teach you to do it in a timely manner and to be prepared for what's coming, because you don't really know. Do this medium as you're learning, you don't really know what to expect from moment to moment because it can change, and it can be something that you learn over time, and especially the art of interviewing. Where did you get your interviewing chops, if you will?
So I remember back in my Spectre class, my teacher, Miss Thomasich, she was at Barnwell Middle School, and she's also a very good gifted teacher. And I also work at one of the camps that she runs. And she basically had us do a unit where we had to interview our state governor, basically. So one of her students is the daughter of one of our state representatives. Oh, wow. So she knew the state representative, and we'd go to the Jefferson City every single year where the Capitol is, and we'd meet all the politicians, and we'd go there for a trial and stuff like that, or to see them passing a bill and stuff. So she knew Chrissy Summer, and so we met her and Bill Eigel, which we're both there. And it was pretty funny. We literally are having a conversation with these politicians and stuff. And when she had us do an interview, I was kind of getting sidetracked, but she had us she had us do an interview, and we had to, I forgot what it was completely about, but we needed to interview someone that was in the community that we could have that has like a contact us page. And so we had to do that. We had to ask all these questions. We were getting graded on our responses. So if they just asked one word responses, you weren't going to get a good grade. It wasn't like a detrimental grade, because if it was all these like, oh, well, I did this, I did that, but they didn't explain it, then you might be screwed with your grade. So she's like, I might give you the benefit of the doubt, but when I did it, I just threw some questions out there, and then with their response, I responded again to them, asking more questions. And that's really where I secured my grade on that thing. And I've just really, like, when I do this interview and I find someone, so typically they have like, oh, I've done this, I've done all that. And so I'll look their name up first of all on Google to see, this is this person. Let's see where there's some of the results. And then if I don't have enough information, I'll ask them like, hey, did you, like, what is some of the stuff you did then? So I can kind of get ideas. And I have a similar basis. I have like, okay, so where are you from? Talk about where you went to school and careers you've had. And that's kind of the first introduction I've had. And then I've asked like, okay, if they're an author, it's like, okay, what books have you read? Like, what's your favorite book you've ever read? What's the favorite book you've ever wrote? And then kind of do that. And then you kind of just start following along with it. And I have maybe 10 questions prepared, and I end up maybe asking 15 to 20 just because they're really short interviews, and I just make them up. I basically have nothing planned and go straight from my head.
That's the best way to do it. Best way to do it, my friend, because the fact of the matter is that interviews can change at the drop of a hat. And what'll happen, what works for me, is I do very little preparation because I'm doing 10 of these a week. And so I'm doing like 10 hours and then editing. Well, you know, all the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing a lot of that. And so I rely upon their synopsis and them to take me to the next question. So I'll ask a question, they'll answer it. And while they're answering that question, it will form another question in my mind, either associated with that or segued away from that to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes off really, really natural and really conversational. And that seems to be something that a lot of people like to listen to is conversational radio. They want to find out more about you and what you're doing, but they want it to be kind of a fun, lighthearted conversation as well sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on the right track. Now you're a sophomore?
Yeah, I'm a sophomore.
Holy mackerel. You're doing really well for being a sophomore and being what, 15?
Yeah, I'm 15.
Wow, that's now. How long did it take you to learn the technical side?
I kind of already had a little bit of experience. Like, I know how to download things. I know how to upload programs and stuff. And I just kind of went from guesses basically. And Google and YouTube definitely helped me use through some situations. And I used a popular platform like OBS Studio and stuff like that, because I know that has a bunch of information, especially since it's one of the biggest broadcasting systems online.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, let's start with that. Originally, I was literally just taking my phone and I put it up to the Zoom call, because that's how I record mine, because it's easy. Just put in a link and people join and stuff like that. And I just will take my phone and I'll just like put it right up to the speaker. And that's how I recorded my first 2 ever episodes. And just to even add like a thumbnail on it, or just like the actual video, because there's basically just a screen, it would take like an hour, because I'd have to I have to upload it to this. But then I have to go into this and I have to add all this picture multiple, like 50,000 times, have to click add, and just duplicate it over the time, because that's the only software I had. And then I'd go to my iPad and I'd upload it through Google Drive onto that. And then I'd get it through my phone, and then I'd have to add it on there. And it was really confusing. And my dad's like, why not just use the computer? And so I used our the only computer that we really have is this really like slow desktop that's like a couple years old. And so my dad later, like I literally just uploaded everything, did one episode on there, 2 live streams. And my dad's like, here, take this desktop. So he just gave me an old desktop that he had, an Alienware laptop that's really, really old that I've just been using to record all this stuff. And I got OBS. I records the audio straightly from my computer. So I can just click record, have a photo up there and easily do it. And then I have this editing like platform that I use to get actually upload it without watermark. I spent $80 on it, but it was like my birthday present from my parents and stuff. And then my sister got me a microphone for Christmas. So I've been using this like cheap $25 microphone that works pretty well. And then I have a little light that I'm shining on right here that I use.
So your family's all in.
Yeah, my parents are definitely really supportive of it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. Because I was going to ask you what they thought of this. Because a lot of times, parents and other folks that are around you will say, "Oh, you can't do that," and
yeah,
you know. And the fact of the matter is, you can do it. You can do it, and if you have enough passion for it. So, what's your favorite part?
Honestly, I really like. It's that everyone's like, oh, well, it'd probably be the recording part. You get to talk to these people, but I think it's really like the after conversations and the editing of it. Because I already like, oh, I talked to these people on camera, and then I had a conversation with this one dude that for like 10 minutes after we stopped the recording, and we were just talking just normally. And it's the editing part is honestly, I think tops that because it's just fun. You get to like every single time I'm trying to add something new unless I'm busy and stuff like that. But like, I'll add this little animation here, or I'll add an extra title screen, and then I'll trim this and add in this photo or something like that, and kind of add something different to every single time. So it almost looks like when you go episode to episode, it's evolving.
And you're what? Did you say you were 15?
Yeah.
That's not fair. I'm just telling you, man, that's not fair. Because see, us older folk, it's a little. First of all, what's the video editing program that you're using?
I use Filmora.
I'm going to learn from you because I'm going to write that down because I do a lot of audio editing. Mm-hmm. I've never done any video editing, and I don't do a lot of video. That's why this is live, so that I don't have to go back and redo it and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it's amazing. And if you like the editing part, there is some money to be made working with people who have got this vision for this podcast, but don't have the technical expertise to pull it off.
I know part of it is I tried to sign up. It's I always forget the platform, but it's like YouTubers will go like, oh, I've went on this and I hired this person and stuff like that. And you can just like pay people for that. And I tried to sign up for that. And I was like, oh, you need like a credit card. You need all this information to be on there. And lots of it requires that you're 16 or even 18. So I was like, yeah, I can't do that. And the same thing went for my, I tried to be a voice actor and part of it. And it was, it's a really troubling field to get into, especially if you have nothing to back off of. So I don't have like in demos, it's like they're hard to record for me at least. Cause I'm like, what should I do? And I've talked to a voice actor recently and he was just like, it's a hard field to get into. It really is.
I've done some audiobooks and, I've done some commercials and I've written commercials and all of that, but it's really tough, especially to, if you're going to voice a book for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why is because a lot of times what they'll want to do is they'll want to give you a percentage of the profits from the book. So if you're voicing a 200-page book, that's going to take you somewhere in the neighborhood to voice it and to edit it at least 2 weeks, 40 hours a week, because it just takes that much time to get it done right. And mm-hmm. So Well, if you are taking a percentage of the sales of the book and it sells 10, you just spent 2 weeks of your time for nothing. So you have to be careful what projects you get into and stuff like that. You sound like you've got a real good voice for it.
Yeah.
And especially because they're looking for if it's a commercial or something that is looking for someone who's younger, like a teenager like you would fit just great.
Mm-hmm.
So, now I would highly also recommend that in your drama career that you act in front of people as well. So
I have actually, so my other plays that I've done, because I was talking about that and we kept segueing. And so some of the plays I've done, let's see, we were going to perform a third one, but COVID hit and I was going to audition. I'm going to audition for it next time, but I was too scared to audition. So I'm typically on the props crew, which is like the stuff, not so much the actual like, oh, building this or the backdrops and stuff, because I'm already in a class that does the same exact thing. And so I would do all the things like the things that people hold or the things that they throw. And so I did that for my first 2 performances. We did Lion and the Mouse Stories, which is a bunch of children's book, like bunch of children's fairy tales and stuff like that. And so that one wasn't as much props derived from. And then we did another one. It was Pandora's Box. It's a bunch of this guy and this girl, they're both siblings, and they open Pandora's box. And a bunch of these like villains from a bunch of movies. So they have the Wicked Witch that comes out. I forgot some of the other ones. And then there's like, it was a really cool play. And we got to actually like break things on stage that were irreplaceable. So one of the characters takes a mug and she just slams it down on the ground. I still have a video of that and it was hilarious because we had 2 performances and she broke 2 of them. And because everyone backstage, the props head and then the student director is back there holding up like signs on their phone saying, break a mug. So she sees it. She's like, all right, boom. And then she walks off stage and curtains close. It was hilarious. Probably the favorite moment of that one. And I just did a play. Let's see. It was our first one of sophomore year. It was The Internet is Distract, Oh Look, a Kitten. And so it's about this girl that's trying to get her her book report done on The Great Gatsby. And so she's like going through all these websites. So YouTube pops up and this person is YouTube or something like that. And they're just like, oh, The Great Gatsby. It's basically the same as the movie. And then there's Google. Google ends up being the bad guy and stuff like that. And he's controlling everything. So it was a pretty fun thing to do. I was a character. I was Bing, like the search engine. So I popped up and I spilled water all over myself. So I pop up and just like, I'm like late. So like the camera turns on, like the light turns on the phone that we made a phone. And I stand up and I run on there and I'm just like, oh, sorry, I was late. And then I'm just like, they're like, oh, pull up this. And I'm like, okay, so I have all these file folders and I'll take out the file folders, except when I'm doing it, I spill the water all over myself. So I just get drenched. And it was the best part. And the one part that would always kill people is I had to go out there and I had to be this like the most famous Instagram star ever. And I had to go out there and read all these like Dr. Seuss type books. It's like if you give a mouse a cookie, I do like a hair flip and everything. And everyone in the audience was just dying about it. All the parents and everything, they're the ones that really liked that joke. And I just went off there and I'd like wink at them and stuff like that. It was everyone said behind the stage, they're like, this was the best thing we've ever did. And so we were going to do another 2 plays this year. So we were going to be doing one that the actual actors wrote, the people that are in the drama program, they wrote one.
Oh, wow.
I was going to be a main character in that. And then in this one I auditioned for it and I'm now the backup for people. So there's only 5 guys and there's 4 guy parts because we're doing a double casting, which means we have one group. So there's one set of people because of COVID. If you get quarantined, you have a backup. So there's only 5 actors, 3 girls, 2 guys, but we have 3 performances with them, 3 performances the other next week. And so I'm the backup if any of the guys go like missing and stuff like that. And I'm still working on the props crew. So we have double casting. So the props head is in another cast. So I'm like the co-props head for this cast. So the show's going pretty well.
That's a lot if you are the backup to multiple people, because you have to know all their lines and their blocking and what they're doing.
Yeah, she said like the teacher is just like, just try and like at least make sure you know the part and you know who the character is. And if you screw up, we'll make sure the other characters know what they're doing and how to drive the scene. Because the girl actors, I'd say, are probably the best in our whole program that are the main characters driving this. So I think it's a really good help that they are actually the other lead roles. So I was glad that I was saved by that. But the play that this directors wrote, that one got moved. So this play that we're doing now, it's called Angel Street. It's from the movie Gaslight. It's like identical to it. So we were supposed to do Gaslight in like April, and we were supposed to do the one we're doing, the student director one, like currently. But the people at that current one, the student director one, a bunch of them got quarantined because one of them got COVID.
Oh, wow.
So there was a whole like bunch of people were quarantined or they were missing, and there were a bunch of stuff like that. So we switched these 2 plays around. So we're doing the biggest play right now, Gaslight, is the biggest set they've ever built in like 10 years. And it's challenging to build, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you're involved with that, and you're going to be doing stuff. Now, you've been podcasting for 3 months? 3 months? What?
About 3 months, I think. 3 or 4 months.
How many episodes? And if somebody wants to find you, how do they find you?
We are on YouTube on it's Nobel Knights FHN, and it should be the first result that comes up.
Now, are you on any of the platforms like Podbean or anything like that?
We're on twitch.tv/ I think it's Noble_Knights_FHN. And we also have an Instagram, Noble Knights FHN. We also have a Twitter, Noble Knights FHN.
Well, I would tell you that if you get on, if you decide to, and you get onto something like Podbean, I'm on Podbean. I do audio on Podbean, video on YouTube, and the audio on Podbean goes to, I think I'm up to like 35 different platforms. So Spotify and Pandora and iTunes and Apple and all of those, so that you can get your message and your word out there to a lot more people that way.
I know our school uses that for their journalism program. They use Podbean. A couple of my friends have their own podcast that they run with each other.
Oh, very, very interesting. What do they talk about?
So they have, I don't know many of them. There's mainly the ones that they post about are their sports podcast. That's run by a dude that sits next to me in my history class named Ben. So him and his friend run that, and they talk about like what's going on in sports and stuff like that with the school. And then another one of my friends that I met last year in history, and we're like really good friends and stuff. She does one called Crime Kooks, where they talk about like people like they did an in-depth thing on Jack the Ripper, Jeffrey Dahmer, and they have each episode and they talk about different killers or serial killers. And then they also kind of have a separate one. I think they just started called Crime Cooks. I mean, no, not Crime Cooks. It's just like, I forgot what it was, but it's something with cooks, but it has a K in front of it, just like their Crime Kooks. And theirs is done on Podbean and everything else. But they have, the one thing that I wanted to avoid, especially because they have a teacher that runs it, right?
Oh.
Because so theirs is associated with the school. So when you're directly associated with the school, I think it basically means that you have to have a teacher that supervises over it.
Of course.
And make sure you're not doing anything that's like against school rules and stuff like that. I was like, I want to get rid of that. If I do this by myself, I'm like associated with the school, like I'm from the school, but I'm not like directly, I'm with the school. This teacher runs that. And it eliminates the whole step of a teacher going like, oh, sorry, I don't like this part. Just get rid of it. And so it stops that whole thing. And I can basically say what I want. Yeah, it's at my own risk, but I can say, I can do things that I want with it and not have to get like, oh yeah, it's sure, it's okay, you can go ahead and do this, and have to wait with that whole step, and they have to watch it and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can just do it myself and not have to worry about some adult telling me how to do it.
Exactly. Well, I would suggest now, first of all, do you like podcasting?
Oh yeah, it's fun. I really like the whole point where I actually have to work. And so I like the communication part and stuff like that. And I like having a schedule, because I have scheduling and I have stuff like that. And I like the planning out of it and like knowing I'm gonna do this and stuff like that. And it gives me something to focus on, other than just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like sit on my phone and watch YouTube and play games and stuff like that. I have
Right.
something to like do with my free time.
So if you're going to do this, and if you're going to do it for a period of time, my suggestion would be that because what you're growing is have you heard about branding yet?
I haven't even gotten close to branding yet. Could you
So-
like explain a little bit of that to me? I haven't looked at that field.
What branding is that you're putting your name out there in a way that you're going to be consistent with it, and it is you become in Pierce is going to become a brand. If you're going to podcast, doesn't matter whether you want to or not, you will become a brand. It depends on how you use that brand and how you develop it. So you want to put things out there that'll be real positive for you on an ongoing basis, and to build. Basically building your brand is building your name. So you want to put stuff out there that'll be positive for you. You're going down the right track by going to talk to authors and political people and stuff like that. But if you're going to do this, you're 15 now. I know that it seems like high school is going to last for friggin' ever. But it's only going to, by the way, enjoy your time in high school. There's no time like it. But after high school, if you're going to continue this into college and stuff, what you don't want to do is to continually change the name, because people have trouble following you and finding you. So find a name that you really, really like, that can have a positive undertone to it and stuff, and then do that, and then build that, so that by the time you get to be my age, you won't have to do that anymore. You'll be, because at this point in time, you podcasting is harder now than it has ever been, because there's like 750,000 podcasts out there. So you have to be special and you have to be unique, and you can get that done, but it does take time. So don't get discouraged if you don't have something that's gone viral yet. You might, it might happen, and you get 1 million downloads. That would be very special. It's hard to do though.
I know I've decided that if I decide to keep this going after high school, the one thing I've decided is that I'm probably just going to drop the FHN at the end of it. So it's not, or if I don't want to continue it, I'm going to pass it on either to my siblings if they want to take it on, or someone else that I've acquired through the years on the show, and that I can be like, okay, you're going to take the responsibility for this now.
Okay, I got a question for you. If you were to describe yourself, how would you describe yourself? Do you tell the truth? Are you honest? Do you have integrity?
I think I'm really honest, honestly.
That took you a moment to figure that out.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So I think that I'm honest, and I think I'm kind of persistent. I think that's the right word, or persevering, or whatever.
Persistent and persevering in what you're doing and being persistent at it. That's key. If you're going to do this, you're going to be doing a podcast at least once a week on a regular basis for a long time. And so you got to be persistent. You got to persevere, and you also can't get discouraged. because there are going to be times when you're going to upload something that you think is going to be happening. It's going to be really cool, and nothing happens. But that's okay. You've got lots of time, and you're developing a skill. Your skill you'll be able to use in broadcasting if you decide to go into college, into the broadcasting program or the acting program, or you can do all of that stuff. And the longer you're here, the longer you do it, the better off you'll be. So that's cool. So enjoy it and do it as long as you want to and stuff. But no, what I was getting to was Ian. By the way, I love the name Ian. It's a great name. And Noble Knights dictates positive, dictates honesty, integrity. It's like the Knights of the Round Table, which they were chivalrous, they took care of people, they did all of those things. So I think that what you should do is morph that into Ian the Noble Knight, or the Noble Knight starring Ian Pierce, because you will become the Noble Knight after high school. What do you think of that?
I think that'd definitely be a really good idea, especially for after high school. I think would be the best idea if I'm not going to pass it on, because I want to. I know my whole point is just like, yeah, I've been doing a lot of these, like for like the past month has been just like my own solo stuff, and it's just because the people I know, either they're busy, or I know one of them's job just started back up and stuff like that, so they're having trouble like keeping up and stuff. So I'm trying to recruit more people just to have on the show so that I can kind of do those group things. And I want to be like, I don't want to take all the credit being like, yeah, I'm the person that started the show and I'm the person that kept it going. Because like my friend Piper, her job started up, so she's not really on it as much anymore. But she came up with a lot of the questions that we were going to talk about. She came up with about, I'd say 5 just podcasts in general questions. She came up with all the questions. And Kevin's helped with our branding and just kind of keeping me positively motivated, because I'll tell him every time in our class, I'll be like, oh yeah, I have an interview with this guy, or this lady did this, or the one last night went really well. And he's like, gives me positive feedback and keeps me going. And I don't want to say this is my effort. No one else is helping me with this. This is all me. And that's not I want to include everyone in it. I don't want to take all the credit.
Well, let me tell you about that. You are the driving force behind it. You are the creative force behind it. It is yours. If you want to invite people on to help you with it, that's great. But don't give away your power, and don't give away what you've done with it, because it's yours. And at the end of the day, people come, people go. Piper's going to get a job. She's going to get a boyfriend, unless it's you. She's going to be doing other things in her world, and she may come, she may go, she may decide it's not. This is your passion. You've started this up. You've done it from nothing. You have the ability to take it anywhere. I wish I was 15 again, because you have the ability to take this anywhere you dang well please. But don't give away your power. That would be my advice.
Okay. I'll take that, because that's a really good explanation. I guess that literally just opened my eyes right now. I'm just like, well, yeah, maybe I shouldn't,
Nope, you should not, because this is it is always good to have people and surround yourself with people. I have a group of people that I've surrounded myself with, but I started this in 2002 with a partner. That partnership ended. In 2003, another partnership ended. In 2006, another partnership ended. I got sued by one partner for $50,000. So I'm here to tell you that it's important, since you're the driving force behind it, you're the passion behind it, that you allow people in to do what they choose. And when they are helpful, that's great. When they fall away, that's great. You bless them and you continue to go on. Because this has got to be something that is coming. This is clearly coming from your heart. And by the way, somebody that is listening just said, "Oh, well, we'll put it up there for you." She said, "Excellent advice." So because it is something that this is yours, and you created it. So let people in on it, have fun with it, make it a community project. But at the end of the day, this belongs to Ian Pierce, nobody else. You wrote it, you did it, and over time, that'll work for you. It really will. So I'm real pleased to meet you, young man. How many?
That's great.
How many downloads or how many views are you getting currently?
I think our average is about 7 views. Our most viewed video is our first one, about like at like 47. And then our second, I think, is the one that me and my friend Kevin did. Just us talking about our snow days. That one's like 22 or something like that.
Good for you. Good for you. Just keep on keeping on, and it's going to be awesome for you. It's like my independence report. I don't know. Did you do any research on me before we had this little interview there, sir?
Not much. I was just rearranging my room.
Well, no, I get it, but I mean, I've got 240 broadcasts that are up. I've got 20,000. I've had 20,000 downloads on Podbean, and I just started YouTube several months ago.
Wait, I think I did look it up like a week ago or something. I think because I remember looking at someone's, and I think it was yours, because there was like 200 something podcasts, and I was like, wow, there's a bunch of them out.
Yeah, well, I do this a lot, and I do this because it's in my it's my passion to do this, and to really help people, to find people and give them a voice of some really great topics, some really great subject matter. I don't do crap. I don't do a lot of I don't do politics. I don't do religion much. I do spirituality and stuff. But but that's me. You have the ability to take this and do anything you want to with it, which is really cool. It gives you and your parents. This could be a way for you to finance your college education, and I'm sure your parents are all behind that.
Oh yeah.
So when you first started this and you said, I'm going to start myself a podcast, did they even know what that was? Your parents?
My mom didn't completely, but my dad definitely had a really good idea. Because he watches a bunch of people that he watches a lot of political people and stuff, and that's his type of thing. And he watches like the news and stuff like that, like specific pieces. So that's his type of thing, which I could say they're kind of podcasts in a sense. And they talk about like, oh, like this guy with just a face cam giving his opinion on what happened. And so that's kind of where he got that from. And so he kind of assumed it was kind of be like that. But the one thing he said is like, don't get political. That's the one thing you can never do. Unless the moment you get political, you're going to have to almost stay that way. That's what he said. He's like, you can't, if you do, you're stuck with that.
Your dad has just given you some of the most sound advice anyone could, because even someone like, do you know who Rush Limbaugh was?
I recognize the name.
He was a conservative talk media guy, and he got pigeonholed. He had to be, and every year he had to be more outlandish than he was the year before, because he needed to hold his audience, so politics is a non-winner. It can be short term, you can do all right, but long term it's not. What you want to do is my humble opinion, Ian Pierce, the Noble Knight, go forth. And is what you want to do is you want to create something that is entertaining, that it makes people happy, that makes people laugh, and has fun, and that you can have fun with. And those are the people that will support you and will bring you back on a regular basis. So, very good. You know how to do this. So given that, do you have to go to work now? What are you doing?
I gotta go to my brother's soccer game.
Oh, cool. Is he older or younger?
He's younger. I'm the oldest.
Oh, that's a heavy responsibility. How many brothers and sisters do you got?
I got one sister. She's in 7th grade. My brother's in 5th grade.
Is a 7th grade girl okay to be around?
She's right in the other room, so I don't know if I can say it super loudly, but it's if you know, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say about it.
I know. Well, that's great. A family of 5, and your mom and dad are together, and they're supporting you. I can't think of a better situation for you to be in, young man.
Thank you.
And there may be a reason why you're in that situation, and that this is going to help you. And Susan, and in closing, I'm going to allow Susan to have the closing remarks here.
Thank you, Susan.
Remember to be yourself always, and that you are. And I know that high school can be a really tough time because of the cliques and the ins and the outs, and you're not an athlete, or you're not a this, or you're that, and stuff. You're carving a niche out for yourself. By the way, how's the podcast going over with the ladies?
I haven't gotten many clout for it, I'll say that, but I've started some conversations with some over it. So like it might be working, it might not be, I don't know.
Give it time. Stay with it, and then eventually what you can say to somebody that you would like to get to know better, you can say, "Hey, want to be on my podcast?"
That's the ultimate date right there. It's like, hey, like I have this podcast, you could be on there.
Yeah, you could be famous if you want to. It would be great. So Ian Pierce has been our guest, and he is a podcaster of note. He's going to have a wonderful career if he chooses to, and no matter what he does, he's going to have a great career. I just know it. You're a good kid. Anything that you'd like to add to our audience before we go?
I'd love it if you went to go watch our videos on YouTube, the Noble Knights FHN, and it's also Noble Knights FHN on our Twitter and Instagram. Because if you do that, we'll notify you if there is ever going to be a live stream. We don't typically notify you if we're doing episodes, because that's typically the responsibility of YouTube to notify you. But we typically, if I'm ever going to release an episode, it's going to be either on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. Sometimes it's either I'm uploading on Wednesday and then not for another week, or I'll do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It really depends on how many people I have getting interviewed.
And at one point in time, eventually what you're going to want to do is to be consistent.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to work on that. Once I get a bigger audience, I think I'll work on consistency.
My advice would be the exact opposite.
Really?
Work on consistency now, and that will help grow your audience.
Okay.
Because people have to know when to find you.
That's true, yeah.
And when you're going to be on, and so then that's the part of branding where you start putting out on Facebook and other places who's coming up this next week, who you're going to interview, when and what time, and all that, and when it will be available and that kind of thing. So
I'll keep more on the consistency then. That's the one thing I'm going to really work on. I think that's
how people find you. And see, I'm doing a podcast Monday through Friday at noon every day. And so people can find me that way, and then it goes live, and then it's recorded and stuff. So I'm all over the place at the moment, but that works because I can say to like a Brent Satterfield, who you had on, he was the author that you interviewed. I can say to him that it's doing really well, and I've got 19,000 downloads, and it makes it more important because they're after selling books. And so that's who you want to go after. People look for guys that are having a movie that's out. Look for guys that are selling books. Look for guys that have got something to do, something to sell. I know you got to go. I'm not going to keep you. Ian Pierce, it's been great talking to you. I've enjoyed it. You have a fun day. I'm going to do this, and then I'll be right back to you. Hold on.
All right.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.